So the other day, I was on YouTube and I came across a channel of a young Asian American woman who posted her support for the black community. And she participated in the Blackout Tuesday. And she said, you know, it's time, basically paraphrasing, it's time to put an end to the racial discrimination that black people have suffered through. So to me, when other races come on and support black causes, it is just a great feeling to know that other people understand or can sympathize or better yet empathize with what the black community as a whole goes through. So I responded and just thanked her for her support. And then the next day, a commenter came onto her channel and responded by saying, I'd say all lives matter because there aren't just black people suffering from discrimination. What about the Asian community? The Asian community is widely known to be very quiet about injustice. Now, reading this comment, I was torn. On one hand, I know this YouTube channel is not about politics, it's not about social injustice, it's not about any of those things. The subject matter is way beyond that. So on one hand, I should just let it go. On the other hand, I have to respond because this person obviously is very misguided. So I gave into temptation and I responded. And here was my response. Why do you feel it necessary to say all lives matter? You say this, then proceed to talk about injustices done to the Asian community. If your focus is on Asian discrimination, then you should say Asian lives matter. Also, how do you interpret the slogan Black Lives Matter? Do you interpret that as meaning to say only Black Lives Matter? The reality is the black community has supported all races, sometimes to our own detriment. Any discrimination is wrong, but before we can social justice for others, we have to try to get ourselves on proper footing. We as a people fight causes for other races all the time. Dr. King did not fight only for black people. I am black and I love people, not color. But the reality is that in poor black communities, our dollar leaves faster than any other community. We have more Asian stores in our community than black stores. And I only point this out to show you that Asian discrimination is not the result of black policy. Yet, you find yourself here attacking a slogan geared towards uplifting a minority group. Do black stores get the same reciprocation from Asian people? I have never seen any other race focus on buying black or supporting the black ecosystem. Again, this is not an attack on the Asian community, as I can make this same case for other ethnic groups. Basically, all lives matter is inferred, and for someone to continue with the all lives matter response to Black Lives Matter is the very reason why discrimination will continue to happen to all underrepresented groups. And I am certain if you wanted to start an Asian Lives Matter movement, blacks would be at the front of the line fighting for you. And that's my response. And again, I go back to Dr. King. Dr. King, as rumor has it, was killed because he was launching a poor people's campaign, not a poor black people campaign. So for all of you out there who are constantly comparing Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter, you're missing the point. I personally have never seen anyone counter Blue Lives Matter with Red Lives Matter. I've never seen that. So why is it that people feel it necessary to dilute or to dismiss a person saying Black Lives Matter? You point this group out as terrorists. Now, from my understanding and researching the creators of Black Lives Matter, all it is a group to point out racial and social injustices done to communities. That's what it is there for. Will you have bad actors? Yes. So for all of you all out there who just associate only the bad with Black Lives Matter, you have to think what makes you uncomfortable. It's time we end this counter Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. If you are a minority, blacks have fought for you since we've been fighting for ourselves. We support your businesses in our community because we don't have many of our own businesses in our community. And if they are in our community, they're usually struggling. So the next day, another person came on and commented to follow up my comment. And this person actually identified themselves as Asian. And he agreed with the original poster. He says, you are right. The Asian community suffers from discrimination and racism as well. And then he goes on to say, that's exactly why we need to support Black Lives Matter. Black Americans are more policed, arrested, convicted, and given harsher sentences than any other community for the same crimes. We're seeing our black brothers and sisters murdered by the police, and we need to stand with them. He goes on to say, we owe a lot to the black community's constant struggle and progress in civil rights and equality. Over 95% of Asian Americans are here because of the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1965, an act that directly came from the civil rights movement. I, a Korean American, son of immigrants, would not be here without their fight and sacrifice, and so I will gladly join their fight. Black Lives Matter today and every day. And that's what it's all about. Just because Black Lives Matter doesn't mean you hate other people. But for some reason, other people hate Black Lives Matter. And it's time to put an end to that. The Black Panther Party was created for black empowerment. They were the ones who would monitor these police stops. They were the ones who were bringing free breakfast programs to the black community. And yet, they were looked at as a terrorist organization. When you have extremists, you cannot paint an entire group of people based on the actions of a few. You had people fly planes into the tower, and I can tell you this because I work in a school and I coach on a football team where the majority of my team are Arab American young men. And I know they do not associate or condone those acts. So why would I paint them with that same picture? But yet it's okay for us as America to paint a certain group as a certain thing based on the action of a few. We have to stop doing that. And when we talk about equality, it has to start with a clear mind. And unfortunately, some of you all out there will never have a clear mind. So that's my take on All Lives Matter. If you find yourself saying All Lives Matter, you really need to think about, again, why does Black Lives Matter make you uncomfortable? And if you're a minority saying it, you really need to give yourself a reality check. And no matter how much you fight for All Lives Matter, you're still going to be a minority. So that's all I have for today. Make sure you comment, subscribe. Again, this stuff is, I give you this stuff because I love interaction. I love for people to either agree or disagree with me because my biggest thing is we can learn from each other. With that being said, I hope you all subscribe and voice your opinion. And at the end of the day, just remember, get to know us before you judge. Take care.